Rock the cradle of love. 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 Yeah. Rock the cradle of love. I rock the cradle of love. Yeah, the cradle of love. It don't rock easily. Well, now I burn like a ball of fire when the rebel took a little child bride to please you. So don't go easy, yeah. 'Cause love cuts a million ways, shakes the devil when he misbehaves. I ain't nobody's fool. Come on, shake it up, whatever I do. Rock the cradle of love. Rock the cradle of love. Yes, the cradle of love. It don't rock easily, yeah. Sent from heaven above to rock the cradle of love. Yes, the pages of love. They don't talk decently, yeah. First for your Romeo. Oh yeah, baby, I hear you moan. It's easy to know how to please me, yeah. This love starts a rolling train. You can't stop it, it ain't in vain. I ain't nobody's fool. Come on, shake it up, whatever I do. These are the wages of love. I know. Rock the cradle of love. Well, it burned like a ball on fire when the rebel took a little child bride to teach you. I know how to please you. My love stops rolling train. You can't stop it, it ain't in vain. I ain't nobody's fool. Come on, shake it up, whatever I do.
Wow, Matt, channeling Billy Idol. Chris, I'm Matt, and it's Corner Week, the show where we take a random week and we talk about music, headlines, and movies that make that week special. And today we're talking Cradle of Love by Billy Idol.
Yes.
And we're also talking about the John Ritter masterpiece, Problem Child.
Masterpiece is not put lightly.
Or sarcastically.
That's true. So you want to start with Cradle of the Love,
yeah, we just
right?
played it, so let's talk about it. Billy Idol, man, looking back at the song, I forgot how many hits Billy Idol and how good Billy Idol was.
He had like 5 or 6 big hits.
And you think Billy Idol is, especially maybe if you're a little younger, you think, all right, White Wedding is a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Not the case.
No.
He had like a pretty, from like 82 to like 90, he was like a legit, consistently successful musician.
And I was thinking about it too, because I really loved Billy Idol probably as a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid. And
he had that great sneer, he had
like
white hair.
Yeah, he's punk and
it was almost like a cartoon
really aggressive
character came to life. It was great.
Yeah. But I was thinking like how, when you're that age, you think like this guy's been around forever. Because he did have, because even a 5-year span when you're 8 years old is like a crazy amount of your life.
And
it's like more than half your life.
He always looked old. He did kind of, he was like 45.
Yeah. And he wasn't actually like in 1981, he was like 22, 23 years old when he first went solo. Maybe a little mid 23, 24 actually.
Yeah.
He had a couple hit bands before that never quite hit. Moved to New York, met up with Steve Stevens, who's actually is a phenomenal guitar player, and that's kind of when they had their little train of hits and stuff. So the first album was named, it was the Billy Idol actually, And it had a bunch of stuff. It had White Wedding. It had wasn't Rebel.
It was
Dancing with Myself. Yep. And then I'm trying to find the other ones. It doesn't matter. He had that one, and then he had like 2 other albums that still like really charted.
This was like his last hit.
It was a lot. Yeah, it was.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
He got into like a horrible motorcycle accident in February of '90.
Right.
This album came out after, but obviously it had already been recorded, and then he ended up having some like booze and drug, and he actually stepped back from the spotlight for like I think his next album that came out was like 2004.
Right.
I mean, he made appearances. I know he's in Wedding Singer if you're an Adam Sandler fan. And he did a couple of things here and there, but between the motorcycle accident and it really fucked up his leg. I guess it did.
He had a steel rod in it.
It was bad.
And that so this song was Cradle of Love was nominated for a Grammy. He actually was nominated for a couple in his career, but I don't think he actually ever won.
Okay.
But this was his biggest hit too. It hit number 2 on
This was his biggest hit?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, but it hit number 2 on Billboard 100, and it was the highest he'd ever charted. He hit number 1 on some other charts, but not the big one, that Hot 100. And you mentioned about the motorcycle accident. The video that he did, they couldn't film him from the waist below because he couldn't like move. So then David Fincher comes up with, he was the one who directed the video.
Of course. The video is amazing.
It's really amazing, but he comes up with this idea of putting him in like the painting. So you only really see him from the waist up. Yeah.
I mean, Fincher at this time, and this is maybe the biggest legacy of this whole video, is actually Fincher directed it.
Yeah.
So this video, obviously Fincher directed a bunch of videos, but this was one of like the 4 or 5 that were like the most noticeable. And especially, people in the industry knew how creative he was considering Idol's situation.
Yeah.
And this was a big reason why he got the movie Alien 3.
Was it really?
This and along with a couple other videos during this time were the reason because they basically, when they gave Alien 3 to Fincher, it's his first movie he ever directed. People were like, what the fuck? You can't give a franchise to literally someone who's never directed a movie.
Because you got Scott, then Cameron, and then Fincher.
Right.
That's how it went, right? Yeah.
Which makes sense now, but in 1992, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And, but this is, and once it is Alien 3, which I know did underperformed, and you could say,
I like that movie though.
It's visually interesting.
Yeah.
It got enough.
I remember there's like hallway scenes where the camera is spinning. That's like vivid in my mind.
He does some really creative stuff. Yeah. It's a very dark movie.
It is dark.
But then, he obviously then eventually does 7 and then it goes off from there. And you can make a case that The Social Network is the most important film of the century.
I know you've said that before. I don't know if you said that on the podcast, but I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Just because of what it's unveiling?
So many things. Filmmaking. It's done in a very like modern way, but it's not like over the top. B, the most importantly, just the script written by Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
And it's super timely. Even now, you watch it in 2020. It's just as timely as when it came out, and it just captures the 20 years like nothing has ever done. Now maybe that changes with coronavirus. Maybe now there's the 21st century is a different identity, but this post 9/11 social media world of the paranoia and the needing to succeed and that software and that social, the internet being so important. It's Fincher and Aaron Sorkin captured, and Jesse Eisenberg is so good in it too. And so is Andrew Garfield. Yeah. But it's just I don't think it's the best movie of the last 20 years, but it's the most important. And Fincher is always that director. He directs with such like a modern urgency. Even like Mindhunter, or things he's done for the TV, or even like House of Cards.
Right.
Like think about, and even the movies he does is so of the time, of the essence. Will this stuff hold up? I think it might, because like you watch 7 now.
7 does.
And it still works.
Yeah.
And Alien 3 almost works better now than it did when it came out.
I'm going to have to see it again because I really love the Aliens films. The
thing that they're really interesting. Yeah. I think they're really interesting, especially those first 3 are really interesting. One thing about Fincher is that he's going to have a movie come out later this year, and now we're not going to see it. I'm kind of bummed out about that.
Isn't it a bio though?
Yeah, it's a biopic. I'm just dying to see it, and because it's Fincher, I'll see anything he does. And it just kind of sucks that it got pushed back. So, because it's been so long since he directed a movie.
But the person who didn't make an appearance in this video is Andrew Dice Clay, of course, because the song was written for. I don't know if it was written for. It was definitely included in. It was in the
soundtrack.
Yeah, it was in the soundtrack. Yeah, so maybe it was written for the movie, but he was banned. Andrew Dice Clay was banned from MTV after his VMA appearance in like 91 or something, where he says, I think 2 of the forbidden 7 words. I know he says shit and asshole, like some other stuff. And so they banned him.
Yeah.
Took him out. So he couldn't appear in this video because they wouldn't have put the video on MTV.
I have a hard time imagining like a David Fincher
With
Dice.
Andrew Dice
I say it though,
yeah.
but then again, like Dice was in A Star Is Born, which is I think it's a brilliant film.
It's way different in his career
right.
though. At that time, he's kind of young.
You haven't seen Ford Fairlane. It's an interesting watch. Has a really like interesting cast. Priscilla Presley's in it. It bombed. It's not a good movie, but it is an interesting movie. It's not as bad as you might think. It's not like just completely terrible.
Yeah.
It's bad, but interesting. I think it's a fascinating watch. If you're kind of bored and you're like a movie junkie and you haven't seen it, check it out. It's worth a watch. You'll be intrigued. It's not like a total slog.
Do you like this song though, Cradle of Love?
I do.
I liked it at the time. I like it less after just performing it. It's a little sketchy, word-wise. It's a little sketchy. I mean, talking about robbing the cradle.
Well, the video is even more sketchy.
The video is. I mean, at least, yeah.
The video is really interesting. But it doesn't age particularly well. But it was that whole, like, if you remember, like, at the time, like, Aerosmith, and Fincher directed one of those videos too, I think.
Yeah.
Aerosmith was using Alicia Silverstone.
Right. Was she not of age at that time?
I think she made but it was close enough.
Yeah, it was close enough.
What's happening
this woman was 19 in this, but still.
But she could have been.
I know. She looked, like, it felt.
She could have been 14 in this. Like, you know what I mean? You don't know. Yeah. And that's kind of what the battle this guy's having in this video. It's just it's a very unusual, but it's shot it's brilliantly directed.
Yeah.
I don't know if the subject matter is super great, but it's shot really interesting.
It's not my favorite of his songs, though. I like Rebel Yell or Dance With Myself.
Me too.
Like more than this, but I did like it when it came out, and I do think it's a good song. I played it different. You probably recognize that, but I want to put my own little spin on it. I wanted to say one more thing about Billy Idol before we probably move on to this amazing film that we have to talk about for another 15 fucking minutes. Billy Idol got his name. He wasn't doing it like I'm going to be really, rich and famous like an idol or whatever. It was because a teacher of his said that he was idle, like
ideally,
like he wasn't doing much. He was just kind of sitting there, underachieving. I thought that was interesting, but he couldn't take idle IDLE because
name is Broad.
It is Broad. Broad. His name is William Michael Albert Broad. Actually, Billy Broad. Yeah, but he didn't want to take IDLE because he was worried that Eric Idle would keep him from that. So he switched it to IDOL.
Okay,
that's what he says anyway.
I'm drinking Angry Orchard here. This is a sign of the
sponsor, not sponsor,
not sponsor. But no, Jesus. It's not a sponsor because this is not very good. I don't like this cider, but this is a coronavirus.
Are all ciders not the same? They're different. This one's different.
This is very.
I thought that's just all you drank.
Budweiser. This is like the most generic, lamest one. Yeah.
Well, you're drinking it from a can too. Is that what you usually do?
I usually drink from a can.
You don't do bottle?
Well, if I'm coming over your house, like A and then B.
Oh, right.
I'm not a big bottle guy. I like the cans, just easier. But
yeah,
that's like the Budweiser of ciders. I'm a big cider guy. But I'm kind of stuck with kind of what I can get at this point. We're trying to avoid the stores.
But like, did you order it and have it delivered or something?
I actually picked this up the last time I went to the store a month and a half ago.
You're at the swill. You're at like the bottom shelf at this point.
Well, yes, but we have had some deliveries from like Bantam and some other places that are better, that are coming. So North Country as well is really good. It's right here in New Hampshire. There are some really good, but not all of I'm a big like. I like to try different types and I have a lot of fun with it. Yeah. But like, if I'm drinking, I'm basically drinking a Miller.
But you're insecure about it. You want to tell people that you're drinking the shit because people are going to judge you later.
Well, I have fun. I usually try to bring on a different cider every time I come over.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. I like different ciders. It's kind of fun. I'm like, I bet there's like one nerd.
So you wear the same sweatshirt, but different fucking cans?
I wear different sweatshirts every time.
I don't. I wear the same thing.
I have a lot of Puma sweatshirts.
Do you really?
Yeah, I really do.
You know, my sister works for Puma, right?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get
something. That to me.
We'll get you something different.
I keep hoping she's gonna give me some cool shit. Problem Child.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, this movie's trash.
Jesus, the best thing about this movie is it's 80 minutes long.
Yeah,
80 minutes, but the entire way I'm like, can just fucking shoot me in the head now.
I do respect. I respect one element of this movie.
No.
Yeah, I do, and it's the commitment. The kid is a monster. They don't.
Yes.
They don't.
No, they don't.
They don't pussyfoot around. Like they just like fuck it. This kid's a beast. Like we're just gonna make him evil. The only problem is when you do that, and you make everybody but one of the character completely unlikable. It makes it a tough watch.
They were even Ritter was unlikable to me.
I liked him.
I didn't like him at all. He was.
Oh, I do. He won me over.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice that he stuck with the kid, but he had his ups and downs with it. I don't think he was. Yeah.
I like him.
I didn't like him.
I actually like him a lot in this. Jack Warden, I think, is great in this. He plays a total asshole.
Yeah,
but that's what Jack Warden's
easy,
great.
Right?
By the way, best Jack Warden. If you haven't seen The Verdict, The Verdict. He's great in that. He's also great in which is a Paul New movie. It's shot in Boston, one of the best Boston movies ever. Also, check out 12 Angry Men.
Oh yeah,
he's very young in that. It's the Henry Fonda version. It's on Criterion Collection. If you're a big film nerd, check that out. I would watch both those movies about 20 times before I'd watch Problem Child. But Jack Warden is always interesting in this.
I mean, Gilbert Gottfried is himself.
Gilbert Gottfried is a great character.
Whatever, so he's fine.
Like Gilbert Gottfried is hysterical.
But I hate so you even hate the kid. Like you fucking hate everybody.
This kid's just not.
So I don't even want him to have a home by the end of this.
No, you don't, and that's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
It's interesting. This movie is got a PG, which is interesting because it's a very sadistic film.
It is sadistic. You see the cat with the fucking he's got casts on his legs and shit.
Yeah,
they light the shit on fire.
There's animal abuse.
There's animal abuse.
Some other stuff going on here. I guess the bad guy in this is played by Michael Richards, who's basically doing Kramer.
Yeah, basically.
For a good portion of the film. It was supposed to be Christopher Lloyd.
That's right. But it's the second time he took a movie from Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
He didn't take it. Christopher Lloyd denied it. But UHF.
Well, no, I think, yeah.
UHF was the first one.
I think both times Lloyd actually might have been committed to it and had to back out.
Oh, really?
It wasn't like Lloyd didn't like the script. That's my understanding. And then Richards then came in as kind of a last minute thing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Richards had an interesting career. Started the first thing I've seen him in, or I ever saw him, it was a 1980-81 show called Fridays, which is supposed to be like Saturday Night Live.
He did that pre-UHF. Yeah, he did that pre-UHF.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that was the thing where Andy Kaufman had a famous meltdown and they crashed a cue card over Andy Kaufman's head.
I have vague recollection. Yeah.
But it looked like Kaufman was but it was actually scripted to do that. And then obviously, Richards a stand-up, and then after Seinfeld, he had his issues with the N-word.
Yeah, he did.
But in this, he's basically doing Kramer, so it's odd to see like Kramer be like, but it's basically like, it's not Michael Richards, it's Kramer being like an evil murderer.
Sociopath Kramer.
So you don't really buy it, or at least I didn't.
No.
Amy Yazbek, meanwhile, this is the strangest thing ever. So I think Amy Yazbek's beautiful. She was gorgeous in Wings. She was gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, she was like really pretty.
Yep.
In this, they make her like ugly.
And she's not that old either. She's like 28 years old, but I thought she looked a lot older, like 40 something years.
I think they were trying to old her up to get her closer to John Ritter.
Well, that's the thing. They do have a big age difference, a 14-year age difference.
Which is interesting because they got married in real life.
Like 5 years later. And at this time, Ritter's married. He's married till 96.
Right.
So he knows her from Problem Child 2.
Also the Cosby Show.
Fucking Cosby Show?
They were in the episode of the Cosby Show together.
Crazy.
And then he was in an episode of Wings.
And then they marry. So he he knew her through kind of his marriage. You kind of wonder. I don't want to start any shit, but you kind of wonder.
You think John Ritter's watching? Or, well, not John Ritter, I guess. He's certainly not watching. You think like John Ritter's kids are watching?
Yeah.
John Ritter, Problem Child, I don't really, the kids, unlike Michael Oliver, maybe he's a nice kid. Although it sounds like he was kind of a little demon, or his mom was. I guess his mom held the studio hostage for Problem Child 2.
Yeah.
And basically said, so they basically have all the deal to do Problem Child 2. They're about ready to start filming. And the mom says, no, we're not doing it unless you give us like a 500% raise.
Jesus Christ.
And they're like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, we want $500,000 for this. Instead of like $80,000.
Well, that's probably the time to do it. Your kid's he's not going to age well.
So they agreed to it. They shot it, but then they, I think it was Universal, sued the family and they won, claiming that the contract was signed under duress.
Really?
So they had to give back the money.
Jesus Christ. That's weird because the first movie made a shit ton of money. It was like $10 million budget, made $70 million, whatever.
It did, and it made even more in like cable. I was talking with someone on Twitter today, and
was it on cable?
It was on USA every week.
Was it?
There's a great call who tweeted me after. I'm sorry. And then it also made a ton of money on rentals. This was like just and it's just like one of those movies where kids will watch it because it's interesting. Parents will throw it on because that's John Ritter and it's PG.
Yeah.
Here you go. And I think if you're a little kid, it is kind of fun watching a kid be a demon. As an adult watching it, though,
the worst.
It's just like I've seen, like, we get it. The kid's not like, it's just not a fun watch.
No, it's not. Well, and you hope for a slapstick style kind of comedy that it would be more fun, that you would like laugh at some of this stuff. But I wasn't laughing at all, really.
Dennis Dugan directed this. Dugan, interesting guy.
Jesus Christ.
So he also directed Happy Gilmore, which I think is actually,
that's his best film. Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah,
that's exactly when I was looking at his. Yeah, agreed. He did Big Daddy, which was his big one, $234 million at the box.
All those Sandler movies made a ton.
Zohan, Jack and Jill,
Grown Ups. Both Grown Ups movies.
Yeah.
He did Saving Silverman.
Yep.
Which I know wasn't a hit, but at least it's a non-Sandler.
The Benchwarmers.
Yeah, he did Beverly Hills Ninja.
It seemed like after I don't know how this happened, but after this, it seemed like he hitched his wagons to Sandler, and then he was probably made.
Yep.
Then he's like, okay,
that's exactly what happened.
All right, I'll make these stupid
Sandler
films.
works the same way. So interesting thing about this. So, and I was wondering, maybe someone can connect the dots or whatever. So, Sandler makes Billy Madison first.
Yep.
Okay, so that was directed by Tamara Davis, who is Ad Rock's wife.
Oh, is it really?
From Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
And then she never directed him again. So, like, what happened here?
Yeah, I wonder.
And then they hitched their wagon, or Dennis Dugan really hitched his wagon to Sandler and then it was Dugan the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Some Tim Hurley stuff as well. He kind of works with the same people. But I could wonder what happened when something happened that set. And I'm totally speculating. This is total kind of bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
You can do
me and the Ritter and you and the Ad Rock.
This is kind of, but this is a fun, like, stuff, and hopefully that's what kind of the show is. Like, you just talk about movies over drinks kind of thing. But, like, what happened there?
Yeah.
And maybe it was innocuous. Maybe Tamara Davis had a scheduling conflict for Happy Gilmore. Dugan stepped in, it was a better fit, and they went from there.
Could have been.
Or like what went, but you can see how
Dugan's older too. He's probably 20 years older than
Dugan's
Sandler.
like 73 now.
Yeah.
He's still working with them.
Right.
But not like directing these movies takes a lot of effort.
No, it doesn't.
Like Grown Ups 2, I think, is pretty much like put the camera in a spot.
Yeah.
Let's shoot it. I don't have a lot more to say. I like to talk about John Ritter though, unless you have more.
But the only other thing is the writers were good. You got Scott Alexander and Larry Krasinski, who did Ed Wood, Larry Flint, Man on the Moon, Big Eyes, even. Like,
it's interesting. They went
some
from
good ones
to some Milos Forman films, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And like, what a
huge difference.
I mean,
I think this was their first one.
People vs. Larry Flint, by the way, totally underrated movie. No one talks about it. That movie is brilliant. That's a really great movie. Courtney Love's even good in it. But Woody Harrelson's
amazing. Yeah, he's great.
Edward Norton's really good in it.
Yeah,
as this lawyer, just completely stressed out. It's a really good movie. Haven't seen that? Check that out too. Milos Forman, I think it's brilliant. I think Man on the Moon is a brilliant movie.
Yeah, I know you love that.
I'm a huge Andy Kaufman fan.
Yeah,
I mentioned the Fridays connection there. So that, maybe you're not. It's a biopic. I get it.
Yeah,
but so is Larry Flint, I guess. But Larry Flint's just brilliant filmmaking. It's so crazy they do this and do that.
And then they just did Dolomite, the new Murphy one.
I haven't seen that, but
I haven't seen it.
Sounded good.
Does it? Maybe I'll watch it. Or maybe we'll run into it.
Interesting to do a lot of these like 70s biopics, right?
Yeah. I would watch things like this if we didn't have to watch fucking Problem Child. That's a real big deal.
Oh, holding you back.
Yeah, if I can hold me back with stupid films. Yeah, you want to talk about Ritter?
John Ritter.
All right.
John Ritter's had like this really fascinating life. So I'll start with it a little bit. So his dad was a guy named Tex Ritter, who was like a matinee idol. I've never seen a Tex Ritter movie.
No.
I just know he was a mildly famous actor in the 50s who died young. He died in 1974, a couple of years before John Ritter did Three's Company. So he never really saw John Ritter succeed, which always plagued John Ritter, which is kind of sad.
I bet.
So Ritter so he grew up wealthy. He grew up in California.
Yep.
But still, to the day he died, literally, always a nice guy. People in Hollywood loved him. I've only heard good things about him being just a good human being and a nice guy. He does Three's Company. Three's Company, incredibly interesting. It started in 1977, ended in 1984. It was him and Joyce DeWitt. Did you watch Three's Company?
I did, yeah. I mean, it would have been reruns probably at that time. But yeah, of course.
I mean, I do remember when it was new, like the last season. And also, I also remembering a show called Three's a Crowd.
Yeah, which was his spinoff afterwards. Because he gets married at the end of Three's Company?
Almost gets married, but he gets like engaged.
Okay.
And they end up having, so Jack Tripper, the character, moves on with this woman.
Right.
But they leave the Furleys behind and everything else. So
it was Roper first, and then is that what it was?
Roper's first, yes.
For one season?
The Ropers were there for 2.5. So this is really interesting. So the Three's Company was here. If you've never seen it, and maybe some younger people haven't, it was this guy, Jack Tripper, who has two roommates. One's Joyce DeWitt, who's a brunette, and one's Suzanne Summers, who's like a blonde bombshell. And
both of them are beautiful, though.
They are.
Yeah.
Joyce DeWitt,
both of them,
might lose her fastball a little bit later on in the series, which is whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. I wanted to live in that apartment.
Yeah, every guy did. But Suzanne Summers became a superstar, though.
True.
Which changed the dynamic of the show.
Yeah.
So, and you also had, so he was a straight guy living with two girls, but he had to pretend he was gay.
Right.
So that way,
was it because Roper?
Stanley. I think it was Stanley Roper. He wouldn't let them. He wouldn't let them stay there. If he knew if he was straight, which is strange.
It was kind of a weird premise. They could have done that better
because the Mrs. Roper knew.
Yeah,
but Mr. Roper did.
Yeah.
So the Ropers were the landlords, and they became characters in the show. They were an older couple. They became very popular. And a couple years after Three's Company, actually, after the first year, they gave them their own show, and they said, "No, we don't want to have our own show."
Really?
Yeah. So then after like 2.5 years, they finally agreed to it under this one condition, that if the show was canceled in a year or less, they would be able to come back onto Three's Company and have their jobs, because they didn't want to.
They didn't want to kill the
show,
right, yeah,
and then not have a job. A year and a week, they can't.
No,
they canceled the Ropers.
Was it? It was called the Ropers. That was the show.
Yep.
I don't even. I guess it's kind of. That sounds kind of familiar to me, but I don't know why.
We were born.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Jesus
they never got their job. The other problem too.
That was on purpose then.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Because what happened was they replaced the Ropers with a guy named Furley, played by Don Knotts, who was on Andy Griffith's show, and Don Knotts was instantly beloved on the show. He was a good character. Furley was a great character.
Yeah, he's great.
And that ended up being, and they didn't want to have they also like they're paying one Don Knotts as opposed to
a couple
Ropers.
Right.
So they end up.
They should just put all three of them in an apartment together, just like the downstairs.
That was almost happened. In the late 80s, there's a show called Two Coats for Comfort with Ted Knight, and the premise was the three of them were going to own an apartment building together. Because what happened was Ted Knight died.
Yeah.
And now they had all this money to create these shows. Ted Knight was on Mary Tyler Moore. We're going really in the weeds here.
That's all right. Fuck it. It's YouTube.
So it's Too Close for Comfort was a show. This guy, Ted Knight from Mary Tyler Moore and from Caddyshack.
Yeah.
And now they have money and an audience. They don't have a show to fill. And they were going to have Furley and the Ropers own an apartment building together. And but they couldn't get the syndication.
I missed my calling.
And I also think the people involved maybe were too old.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
Because it was 10 years after this. So anyway, so Suzanne Summers also has contract issues. She ends up saying, I'm not going to do the show. They force her to do the show. They have a huge salary thing. And finally, they agreed to this, that they will let her go on the show for 5 minutes and have a call. She'll talk to Jack Tripper each episode, and Jack Tripper can let her know what's going on with the gang. The reason he did it that way also is because John Ritter and Joyce DeWitt were so sick of Suzanne Summers being a diva.
Yeah.
They
didn't want to be on set with her? So did she move and they would talk on the phone? Is that what happened?
The storyline was that she was taking care of her ailing mother. So what happened was they'd film the whole episode of Three's Company. Then they would bring Suzanne Summers back to an empty studio.
And she'd be talking to some other person on the phone.
To a nobody, right?
Jesus Christ.
And do her thing. And this happened for almost a year.
Summers.
And then finally they ended up they were able to kind of like let her go. And they brought back a couple other blonde girls to fill her spot.
Yeah.
And the show went off the air 84 and then 80, and then in 85 after Three's a Crowd, John Ritter is kind of like a man adrift.
Yeah, what am I going to do now?
So he does a show called Hooperman. You remember Hooperman?
No.
He played a cop.
What?
He had a dog.
No.
This is in like the mid to late 80s. In fact, here's what I remember at Hooperman. I was watching Hooperman, and I believe it was Hooperman or it was Moonlighting, one of those two shows. I think they were on the same night. And that's when I found out Baby Jessica in the Well was saved. They interrupted Hooperman to say, hey, Baby Jessica is now saved.
Where is she now, by the way? I hope she's well.
She's like some like a lady has like
probably
family. Jessica McClure, the girl in the well.
Oh.
So Hooperman was not a good show. It was like kind of like dramedy, like a 30-something type, but with a cop. And I believe he's a cop or a newspaper. I think he's a cop. And he had a dog.
And that inspired Turner and Hooch later on.
Right. Actually may have.
Right.
So then he started doing some movies, including Problem Child.
Don't forget Real Men with Jim Belushi. I loved that film as a kid.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good call.
Who knows if it?
Yeah, these movies, and he did some stuff. You could just tell.
Do you want the big gun, or do you want the? Do you remember it?
No,
that was the thing. It was an aliens were giving them like either they could save the human race, or they'd have a big gun where they could win wars with. They took like the special package. I think is what it was fucking.
I don't
called.
remember this at all.
You don't remember it?
I don't.
Did you saw the movie though as a kid?
Did when it came out?
Yeah.
You see, even this movie, you can see he's trying to get his footing. Like Ritter seems uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So he kind of does movies, does like TV spots in the 90s. He does a show called Hearts of Fire with Marky Post from Night Court. Did that for a couple years. And then he does a show called 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter with Kaylee Kuko, who's like that gorgeous girl from a Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah.
This was her start.
Yeah.
So he does the show the first season. Actually, it was a modest hit for ABC. Did pretty well. Katie Seagal from Married Children in it. And it did pretty well. And then they're taping, I think, the 3rd or 4th episode. It's September 11th, 2002. Meanwhile, his son was born September 11th, 1997 or 98. His youngest son.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously 9/11 happened in 2001. So then this is 9/11, 2003. And he's like, he's rehearsing and he doesn't feel well. He collapses in his dressing room. They rush him to the hospital. They misdiagnose what's going on with him.
They think he's having a heart attack, but it's not that. He's got some sort of congenital heart issue.
Aortic tear.
Right.
Tear in the aorta.
Yeah.
And then he dies like that day.
Yep.
And and they keep the show going, and they change the rules from 8 simple rules for dating my teenage daughter to just 8 simple rules, and they add on James Gardner from what am I thinking? Maverick,
right?
And oh my god, James. What am I thinking of? Help me out. It's a detective show he's on.
Yeah,
oh my god,
it wasn't Matlock. Which one is it? I have no idea. I don't know these.
James Gardner, Rockford Files.
Rockford Files. Yeah.
And they brought him on. He's like 70-something years old. He's the grandfather, and they bring in David Spade.
No.
Yes. And the show actually lasts for like 2.5 more years, and then Kaylee Cuoco goes from that to Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang, yeah.
So Ritter, like,
a real step up there for her, by the way.
Oh yeah, I mean she's a millionaire.
No, besides that, this show's a piece of shit.
She
made a shit ton of money. You're right.
They made because the cast was so smart, they held out together.
Oh, did they?
And
yeah, that's the way you do it.
Yeah, they all like they did a Friends play. Unless you pay all of us, you're not getting any of us.
Right.
And oh my god, she's so rich. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we can mock the show. Big Bang Theory is horrible. You can mock it all day. They're so rich, it's hard to even fathom. Plus, that show's on like syndication crazy.
I know it is.
It's on reruns constantly.
Yeah.
Like, so John Ritter like launched some careers, like Kaylee Cuoco's, and then we talked Billy Idol launched.
Yeah.
David Fincher's career, like in a weird way.
Yeah.
These guys it's funny how it works.
Sprouted it out.
Yeah.
So what do you think his best role is? Kevin from Bristol said something on Twitter beforehand. It was it was one of his earlier films. It wasn't like Skin Deep or
he said Skin Deep.
It was Skin Deep.
I think his best movie, and I know Kevin disagrees, his best movie is Sling Blade.
But that's not really
a great movie.
Yeah, it is great. It's not movie, right. It's not a John Ritter movie. I was actually a little depressed looking at his filmography. I was like, there's not really a lot because I liked him so much. You're right. He seems like such a nice guy, very likable, got great charisma,
He does.
But when I was looking, I was like, what's my favorite movie with him? Maybe Real Men with fucking Jim Belushi.
Let's look at John Ritter in Three's Company. Like you have a guy that's a handsome guy that is an amazing physical comedian.
Yes.
Like, what else? If silent films were a thing, John Ritter would have been Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But silent films aren't a thing. Like Buster Keaton's is a history, and like maybe that's what John Ritter's career would have been in 1910.
Sure.
But in 1997 or 2001 or whatever, like, do you need a guy falling over a couch? Plus, you get older, it's hard to do that. Like,
it is, yeah.
John Ritter's body changed. Like, he was scrawny. Like,
he was scrawny.
He was
a string bean for a while.
Not much bigger than me when he starts. And then by, you watch this movie and you watch other movies.
Sling Blade.
He's significantly heavier.
Yeah.
Like, he probably couldn't do the same physical stuff he did.
Probably not.
Not that he was fat, but he was definitely he was a different body.
He's an older
shape.
guy, right? That's what happens.
And,
to some people,
a lot of his strengths, I'm sure, because he was known for, he flipped over couches.
Yeah,
he was hysterical. Like, and that show was so broad. Three's Company was so like, there was no subtlety in Three's Company.
No.
It was the most like in your face show ever. And it was almost like a 1930. It was so ridiculous. It was a silent film.
So maybe that was the best thing he ever did. Was Three's Company.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't particularly go with Three's Company. It's a little
it's all right.
It's a little too on the nose for me. Great theme song.
Yeah. Come on, knock on my door.
Come and knock on my door. It's a great theme song. It's an entertaining show, but you could have the volume off and you know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, you do.
It's a silent film, and there's not a big market for that, especially in movies, and especially as audiences got more sophisticated.
He probably would have played a good dad for a long time on sitcoms. It would have been good roles for him.
If you watch that show, that role works really well for him.
Yeah,
it's much better than Hooperman as detective or like Hearts of Fire. He's a senator's aide.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. A suburban dad.
Perfect.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, too bad we lost him so young.
Are you upset about it?
I remember when he died, and I was like, "Fuck, that guy died." John Ritter's seems like a cool guy. Yeah, I remember it hit me a little bit. It's not like I didn't shed any tears, but it's a little sad that
it is sad.
someone
He's
like that
a nice
dies.
Guy. Yeah. I think he's like starting a young family, and then his son Jason Ritter, he's in Friday Night Lights, I believe, right?
Yep.
Or no, Parenthood. I'm sorry, the TV show Parenthood.
Is he?
He's in that. He's good. He's a decent actor.
Yeah,
he's fine. Yeah.
All
right. John Ritter. I mean, what Problem Child, dumpy movie. John Ritter, nice guy.
Oh, I did want to say they made the second one in like a year. It's another one of those situations where like, oh my God, we caught something fucking hot. Let's get a script out there and done. Yeah. I don't know that I saw the second one. They moved to like Oregon. And
Amy Yasbeck,
dude, and she's back
in a different role.
Who does that?
Well, then I guess they weren't married.
Then? Yeah, that's the crazy thing because this is 90. Weird. I think 91. Yeah, it was 91 when the second one was released, and so he had to have her back so bad that they put her in a different
Did
role.
he think pull the string? Another rumor.
Or maybe she was liked. Maybe she was liked so much on the first one, but I don't know why she was shitty the entire. I hated her.
She's great in Wings.
See, I don't remember her character. I know she was later in Wings. She was like the last 3 years. I liked Wings. I watched probably every episode, but it was so long ago.
Yeah, those Thursday nights you had, especially in like there's a 1 year period. You had Seinfeld, Cheers, Wings. I forget the other show, but that was stacked.
Yeah, if only Seinfeld was any good, then it would have been fine.
Seinfeld, Seinfeld, and there's one like 6 month period where you had we had Cheers at 9 and Seinfeld at 9:30.
Yeah.
And then I think you and I even had ER at 10. And it was just like, holy shit. Like, it was so stacked. But remember that 1 hour comedy, Seinfeld and Cheers? It was the best ever. It's my 2 favorite comedies, Seinfeld and Cheers.
So Flo came back as a different person.
Flo, is that her name?
Flo is in the show.
Amy Asbeck. Oh.
Amy Asbeck, yeah.
Amy Asbeck.
Yep. Anything else? Do you want to talk? So Wednesday is on the podcast is Ghost and She Ain't Worth It by a
Glenn
performer.
Medeiros.
You've never heard of him.
Yes.
And
Ghost.
And Ghost. And then Saturday is Presumed Innocent and The Power by Snap.
Presumed Innocent. I will say, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good.
Spoilers, it's good.
Check it out. If you haven't seen it, then listen before Saturday. It's actually like a really entertaining movie. Brian Dennehy's in it. Raul Julia. Like, check out Presumed Innocent. I had never seen it before we did the podcast, and I walked away pretty impressed.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more, obviously, on the show on Saturday. And then Wednesday, Ghost.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Thanks. See ya.